Yes.
Great. We're good.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gefen Nishmat Zoom. We're going to do a little bit of training today to specifically for women, the women that we're working with, and to be shared with anybody who is interested on learning stress reduction techniques, ways to help us cope during this very, very trying time. I'm going to turn over Karen Friedman, the director of Gefen, to say any words, and then we're going to jump right in to the techniques.
Okay, I want to welcome everybody that's joined on our Zoom and everybody that's going to see the recording. I just want to share that personally, this has been a very trying time for me and my family, for all of Israel, and for all of you I know abroad. And we want to reach out and increase the amount of people that we get to, not just fertility challenged. I know that there's a lot of people who are pregnant now, people who are having any kind of issues, but we want to keep it women related or couples that are fertility challenged, because there are a lot of groups that are reaching other rest of the population. And I want to encourage you afterwards, if you are from abroad, to get through to us, if you can offer your services also, and then we can incorporate you for further giving therapy. And thank you all for joining. And if anybody in the middle has anything that they want to add, please feel free to jump in. Okay, Rhonda?
Okay, great. So I'm Rhonda Adeski. I'm the clinical director of Gefen, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of the different techniques that I want to teach. We're also going to have Pearl Lopian, who is an EFT tapping expert, help us learn some stress reduction techniques through tapping. Katie Harari, who is our mind-body director and our yoga specialist, is going to teach us a little bit about movement. And as I said, the goal is for all of us to learn how to practice self-care for ourselves, to bring our stress down, because if we don't put the oxygen masks on ourselves, we're not going to be able to help anybody else. So I'm just going to pull up I'm going to put a share screen, and I'm going to pull up a document. And let's see, let's share it so that you can see the document that we prepared. We have it in English and Hebrew. Everybody see that? Yeah, okay, terrific. Let me just see if I can make the email, so make it bigger. Okay, and we're going to send it out to everybody in Hebrew and English, so you'll have access to this. I'm going to also welcome people to join, to chime in if there's things. This is not, set in stone. There's anything that you want to add to it, or things that you yourselves have used that are helpful. I'm going to encourage you to, just raise your hand and say that you have something to add. Okay. So we all work with women who are going through any kind of fertility challenges, pregnancy, often couples issues. And we know that during times of stress, this gets even more heightened, all the issues that they're bringing. So like I said, self-care, meaning to check in with yourselves, notice what you're feeling before you sit with a client or a friend even to offer support. Notice what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and what you need for yourself in that moment before you try and offer support. Okay, so if you're super anxious, maybe you want to do a little bit of breathing. Maybe you want to do a little bit of movement. I'm going to talk about all of these techniques over the course of the next, say, 45 minutes. And because I think that they're super duper important. Okay. We keep getting people added in, so I might just, if I lose focus, it's because I'm adding people. Okay. So first and foremost is presence, okay? To be fully present with the person that you are working with. That means to just listen non-judgmentally. Karen showed me a Winnie the Pooh quote, which I, for some reason, couldn't pull up. But Karen, if you have a second to just read it, otherwise I'll just paraphrase it. Basically, Winnie the Pooh says to Piglet, "I'm scared," and Piglet says, "I know." And Winnie the Pooh says, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" And Piglet says, "I'm here with you." And Winnie the Pooh says, "But I'm really scared." And Piglet says, "I know." And it continues this way. And basically the idea is just being fully present with whoever you're sitting with is incredibly, I'm going to cry because I feel like this is the most essential thing that we can do for each other right now, is to be present, to validate their feelings, to understand that this is a hard time for everybody and that we're in this together. And that, as Winnie the Pooh says at the end, "Wow, I feel a lot better now, Piglet. Thank you." Piglet didn't do anything, didn't, say, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine." Didn't say, "You're silly for feeling that way." He just said, "I'm here for you." So that, I think, is super duper important. On top of that, there's all kinds of techniques that we can all practice, that we can all do, that helps bring down the stress reduction, to bring down the stress that we're all experiencing. My favorite is diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing, or belly breathing, is basically you're breathing right into your diaphragm. So you're taking a breath in as if there's a straw, you're sucking air in through the straw. And so as you breathe in, your belly goes out. And then when you release the air, your belly goes in. You can try this with me for just one moment. Breathing in, holding, and then breathing out. Take another normal breath. You don't have to take a deep breath, just a regular breath, breathing in to your belly. I like to put one hand on my belly because that way I can feel that my tummy is going out as I breathe in and it's going in as I breathe out. I put a hand on my chest because that way I know I'm not breathing into my chest. When we breathe into our chest, we increase the anxiety. The autonomic nervous system gets increased. When we breathe out, the parasympathetic nervous system gets kicked in, and that way it creates a calming effect. Okay. We talked about
for a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, Katie. Okay. I was just going to say the vagus nerve, so maybe you want to talk about that.
Well, before that, with the breath, if somebody is showing signs of anxiety, then yes, I would increase the exhale. Focus on the exhale. If they're showing signs more of depression, then you focus on the inhale. So
depression or freeze, right?
Depression, yeah. So that you have a big inhale, you focus on the inhale, you lengthen the inhale, and anxiety more is focusing on the exhale and lengthening the exhale. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Thanks. Katie, you want to say something about the vagus nerve? About
the diaphragm? So the vagus nerve is one of the longest nerves in the body. And for us to come back to our center, once we're thrown off course by a trauma, a drama, anything going on, we need very good vagal tone. Vagal tone is done through singing, breathing, yoga, self-massage all around the neck and shoulder area, laughing. All that helps to tone the vagus nerve. It goes from the bottom of the brain. Literally, it touches just about every organ. It's responsible for heart rate and hearing, taste, blood pressure, So a slew of other functions in the body. So again, we want good vagal tone, because if we are ever thrown off course by anything, we are able to come back to our center much sooner than if we have poor vagal tone.
Great, thank you. And by the way, if anybody has questions, just, raise your hand, or chime in, because I actually can't see everybody on the Zoom. The next, other than breathing, which I think is really important, I think it's important to do it practice your breathing maybe 3 times a day for 5 minutes, because it just brings down your overall stress levels. Okay, so that's a strong recommendation. This can be done with kids. It's a really fun activity. If you do it, you can roll up a little Kleenex or a piece of paper, and they practice kind of blowing the Kleenex across the table. It becomes a game. It can help them. There's all kinds of animations of biofeedback things for kids and adults, where you can look, just do a Google search for it, animated breathing, and you see the ball rising and then the ball falling. So it's a really simple thing to do. You can also look online. We didn't add it right in this document, but we will on the one that we send out. But some links, just Google search diaphragmatic breathing, and you can choose the one that works for you. The second thing I want to talk about is movement. Movement is incredibly important for stress reduction, okay? Because we can so easily get frozen in our bodies and then hold all the tension in our muscles. And when that happens, we start having physical problems. We start having headaches. We start having muscle pain, joint pain. So movement releases the energy out. It releases the adrenaline, and it can be any kind of movement. You can put on music and dance. You can stand up and just shake it out, shake your whole body. You can do jumping jacks. You can do kickboxing kind of things. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to go to the gym, or, oh, I have to do an hour yoga class to move. Literally, if you're feeling anxious, or before you have to sit with somebody, and you're feeling nervous about it, or you're emotional, it's fine to share that with them. But if you want to bring it down, I would just say, move in place, shake your whole body for a minute. It makes a big difference. Let's just try that here. I'm going to stand up and show you how I do it, so that you can have an idea. Usually I put on music, but you don't have to. All I do is just this. I shake my whole body, my legs, my hips, my neck, just to release it. Obviously, if you have any kind of knee problems or neck problems, be careful. But I think it's just a wonderful release of pent-up emotion and energy. Katie, I'm going to turn to you again. I know you're the expert in movement, so if there's anything you want to add, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I think Pearl wanted to add something.
No, I was just going to ask you if you could not open the screen so that we could see you a bit bigger if you're showing something. If you could,
right, you can't see me, so okay, I'll do it. We'll do it afterwards.
That's just all I was going to ask for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I worked with some women whose sons are in the Army. I gave them a yoga class, and one of them told me that she felt like the stress was squeezed out of her after the class. So movement is so important to get the extra cortisol out of our body. If you watch an animal after danger, they shake. They really shake, just like Rhonda did. They shake, and then they just go on with their day, because they release that stress. They release literally the hormones that were causing the stress, the excess, out of their body. We don't do that as human beings, because society, we can't just walk around in the street and shake all day. But when you're in the privacy of your own home, it really, really is like the numero uno help is movement. Our muscles hold on to memory, hold on to stress, the fascia, the connective tissue in our body. So along with the mind body work, yoga, movement, dance, whatever, everything Rhonda said is a must, is essential. And I'll go into some movements later on that you could practice if you want. Again, it could be 3 minutes, 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole hour.
The other thing about movement, there's a saying, it was the first thing that I
Wait
learned.
a second, Rhonda?
Yeah.
Are we, maybe it's just me and my computer. All I'm seeing is the document. Are we seeing, is everybody else seeing Katie and Rhonda when they're talking and presenting?
It depends, Karen, if you have, on the side, you can put your computer on so that you can see other people.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure everybody's seeing you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to keep the document if that's okay, so you can sort of follow along where I'm going. When we demonstrate, I'll turn it off. The other thing about movement that's important is there's this expression, move a muscle, change a thought. Okay, so sometimes we can get very stuck in our thinking. Okay, certainly if we're in a negative thinking mode. And when we're feeling, you know, stressed or anxious or angry, then the thoughts kind of become very negative. And then we get stuck there. And that's not helpful for, you know, feeling better. So sometimes the movement can actually help changing the negative thought than actually trying to come up with a different negative thought. Okay, with a different positive thought. So if you find your thinking is very negative, I would also encourage you to move. Even if you're not feeling stressed, just run on the spot for a minute and it'll just shift that negative thinking. And that's where I'm jumping to F here, cognitive restructuring, because I'm just talking about thoughts now. You know, obviously, our thinking can go really dark in these dark times. And first of all, often the thoughts might be catastrophic. They might not, they might be really exaggerated, or they just might be something that we think is true, but we don't know for a fact that it's true, and maybe it's not. And sometimes it's the thinking is just not helpful. Like, yes, it is incredibly anxiety producing to think that, you know, one of my children is on the front lines. Yes, that thought is true. However, we don't know for certain that something bad is happening to them right now. We don't even know that something bad's going to happen to them in the future, but our automatic negative thought is to go there. So we want to stop that thought because we don't know that for a fact right now. And it doesn't help us. So instead, we want to say to ourselves, I don't know. Yes, that's the reality. However, I'm going to choose to think that they're doing okay in this moment, or they're doing okay overall. Because to choose to stay in the negative, dark place is only going to bring us down and everybody around us. It's going to increase the anxiety. It's going to increase the stress. So I'm not saying, oh, you know, let's be Pollyannish and just think positive. Yahoo, everything's fine. Everything's great. It's not. Okay. But we can shift the focus to, I don't know right now. I'm going to choose to think it's okay right now until I hear anything different. Things like that.
Can I just add something, Rhonda?
Please.
I have one of my sons was in the beginning. He was down right near Gaza and he was helping, he's a medic. And we had the pleasure of being able to visit him this Motzei Shabbat. And when we visited him, I knew from other friends, keep his spirits up, everybody just, you know, be in a great mood. And every time, like, I know that when things go bad, he's going to be going in, I just try and keep an image of him, of what I had on Motzei Shabbat, where he was happy and our whole family was together. And that's what keeps me in place, not trying to think of him at the front, but thinking of him, of us hugging. And I think that if you can tell a client or a patient or whoever you're on with, like, why don't you imagine who you're having a fear of, like, imagine a happy time together, imagine a hug, etc. That's, I guess, what's helping me. So Rhonda, back to you.
Thank you, Karen. That's perfect, because that was a segue to my next Number E, which is imagery exercises, which is, using your imagination. The power of imagination is so incredibly strong. We know from studies, MRI studies, that if you imagine yourself eating a lemon, or if you kind of imagine it right now, we're not going to take the time to do it. Well, we'll take a minute. Imagine yourself taking a lemon out of your fridge, cutting it into quarters, and now take a bite of the lemon. What do you feel? I always, I can do it 1,000 times, I feel the saliva, the puckering. Why does that happen? Because our brain cannot distinguish the difference between an actual event and an imaginary event. So just like Karen said, when she imagines herself hugging her son, her feeling is that wonderful warm feeling she had when she hugged him. And that is what we need right now, is to feel good, to feel centered, to feel balanced. And using imagery is in an incredibly powerful way to get ourselves to that. So, whether it's imagining your child who you're concerned about, or imagining them embraced in light, or, remembering and imagining the feeling you had when you saw them last, or even, overall, an imagination. You can imagine yourself in nature, sitting at the beach, and notice what you're feeling as you imagine. Notice what you're feeling, notice the temperature, notice the time of day, notice what you're wearing. All of these things help you get more and more into what sounds do you hear while you're sitting at the beach. Do you hear the waves? Do you hear the birds? Do you hear the mutkuts? That helps you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the imagery experience. It could be a place you've been to. It could be a place you want to go to. It could be a made up place, a place you remember from storybooks. And again, you can go online and look for imagery exercises, and there's tons. And you can also just listen to one so that it's a guided imagery. Somebody is, speaking it out. And that way you can take 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 3 minutes or a half an hour to be in that imagery experience. Or you could just take a minute like Karen did and just imagine one particular scene. So again, I'm going to encourage you to do imagery exercises. They can be super helpful. Okay. Grounding exercises are for when people are feeling extremely out of touch, like kind of frozen, and they just can't function, and their sort of whole nervous system has shut down. Okay, so they might be in like a dissociative state, and they're just kind of staring into space. This can happen. Certainly it happens a lot if people have gone through any kind of sexual trauma. We know that a lot. And of course, the women that we work with, who may be having difficulty with fertility, or maybe super duper anxious, may have unfortunately experienced some sort of sexual trauma, and that will cause, when they're feeling anxious, it can cause extreme dissociation. Okay, so if you're seeing that in front of you, we do what's called grounding exercises, and basically you want your person to kind of move out of that dissociative state or that flashback state to the present. And in order to do that, you want them to make eye contact with you. You want them to kind of, rub the seat of the chair or their pants or their hands, so that they can feel that they're here in the present in your room or wherever you're sitting. You can ask them to describe things that they see in the room to bring them back to the present and not be like somewhere back in the past or up in a dissociative state. You can, so have them touch things. What do they see? What do they hear? what do they smell, if there's a taste that they have in their mouth, to really bring them back to the here and now and to the present. Okay, that's important. And then you can do relaxation techniques with them to help them calm down, whether, again, it's breathing, it's movement, whatever is important at that point. Okay, I'm going to stop here because those are the ones that I want to kind of mostly talk about, and we'll see how much time we have at the end to kind of practice. Does anybody have questions or add? Yeah, many.
Yeah, Rhonda, I'd like to say something.
Sure.
I'll tell you what, it relates a little bit to a few of these points that you've made. What I've been doing is, for the last 4 or 5 days, I've gone 4 times, okay, and let's say in the last 8 days, 7 days,
Yeah.
to the Ramada Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The Ramada Hotel in Yerushalayim is one of the main centers for the Mefunim, for the evacuated families. And what you see there is such, even talking about it makes me emotional. You come into a large, it's their dining room, I think, a large room, and you see 120 women and maybe 5 men, 6 men, and 25 tinokot, infants, a whole bunch of 4-year-olds running around. And what I've done, and it relaxes me, to see it. I bring them something, nothing expensive, but I brought some cookies to 25 kids. I brought a little a doll, just like the head of a doll, to 6 little girls. I brought them, not to any boys. I only brought it to girls. Okay. I brought I don't know, these snacks, these little packages. It doesn't matter. I brought very inexpensive, didn't spend a lot of money each time I went, but it's such a good feeling. It makes me feel, one is I did something, 2, maybe 1 or 2 of the kids felt good after I brought them something, right? Another, I'm sure I didn't hurt them, and I may have made them feel good. So I'm saying, doing something I find relaxing. In other words, staying home and watching the TV is the opposite of relaxing. You can sit on the couch and watch your TV and you're not relaxed at all. Whereas you do something like that and then you walk away and you just look at them, they're opening up the package, they're eating a cookie. Anyway, I'm just giving you a feeling what I did. I know a few of the hotels in Yerushalayim are centers for the evacuated people. This is for Sderot, by the way. The women that at least a few of the women that I spoke to said they were from Sderot. So I don't know if everybody is there from Sderot, but a few of the women told me that. And they knew each other too, so it sounds like they're maybe from one community. Anyway, I just wanted to mention something you might want to do. And what I did also, listen to this, okay, just to add, as you know, I teach, right? And I have students doing their master's and PhD. 3 of the students I've met there, and they brought also something. I told them it might be nice to bring whatever, the little thing, and they felt so good. One of them was crying at the end. You may even know her. I'm not going to say. She's a clinical psychologist. I'm not going to say her name. She's finishing her PhD, and she walked in, and I went away. I said, why don't you walk around and talk to them? She was there half an hour, and it looked to me like she was crying. So, okay, I just want to mention something.
Thank you, Manny. That's perfect. I mean, that's the segue to my next. I think you read the rest of my document.
Oh, okay.
But that's exactly what I wanted to talk about next in terms of as opposed to the techniques. I want to move on to talk about what other things that you can do. And one thing is definitely, I say this emphatically, do not watch the news over and over. We know research shows from 9/11 that those people who watched the news of the towers falling and read all those horrific stories were much more likely to have secondary PTSD, to be traumatized by them, than the people who chose not to watch the news. Now, I know we all have that need to know. It helps me feel in control if I know what's going on. And on one hand, yes, that is true. But on the other hand, knowing it every moment of every day is not going to give you a sense of control. It's going to give you a sense of overwhelm. It's going to shut down your nervous system. The nervous system cannot tolerate this level of news, this level of trauma, this level of videos, of horrific images. It's damaging, okay? I'm not saying don't ever check the news, but limit it. You know, for myself, I have a rule that I'm just not going to look at the news. I'm going to look at it once in the morning so that I can know what's happening, what I can do and can't do. And then I'm going to look at it, you know, at night to catch up. If there is something urgent, I will hear about it. Somebody will call me and tell me. Probably Karen.
I'm just going to chime in quickly for
Please.
half a minute. Yesterday, I chose not to open the news, read the news, or open Instagram. 24 hours. And I never felt better since the start of the war. I felt that I could function for the first time in 10 days. It was incredible.
Yeah, because all of this news consumption shuts us down. It makes us not be able to function. And it's not helpful. We think it is, but it's a false belief. Okay, so I want you to just try it. Try what Katie did. Even if you can't do 24 hours, say for the next 2 hours, I'm not looking at the news. If you're somebody who scrolls, like, you know, and you know, what Many just said, in addition to not doing the news, is actually the opposite. Do something that you feel is going to help somebody else. Okay, so if it's at the level of, you know, going to the hotel, if it's at the level like, you know, my kid baked cookies and sent them to firemen, and then they got a video back from the firemen holding up all these boxes of cookies that her and her friends made, you know, or they made sushi and they brought it to the doctors in the hospitals who are not eating. So you can find the smallest thing, you know, like Many said, bring a doll to a kid who's displaced, you know. And it gives you a good feeling like you're helping somebody, and then you're not focused on the news all the time. So they kind of go hand in hand, but they don't have to. You can have the news going while you're doing something, but do something if it's going to make you feel better. And my prediction is it will. Karen, you want to add something?
I'm sorry if you've said this already, I'm sorry if I'm repeating something, but there's a few things that factually might come up when we're dealing with women who are either pregnant or fertility challenged. Did you address yet the question of whether or not people should? Okay, so I'm going to address right now. There are women that have been calling in or that we've been talking to that have been saying, should we keep going on right now with our fertility treatments? Is this the time to do it? We ourselves, Nishmat and Gefen, had a Zoom with Dr. Jordana Hyman and Dr. Talia Geva, and we basically got the whole spectrum of what we should be saying, from the point of, will some women feel that at this point, if they're under a lot of stress, that this may not be the time for them to continue or to engage in their fertility treatments, to, I think it was Dr. Geva that was stating, well, wait a minute, some women might feel that this is their resilience, and Dafka now is the time they want to bring life to the world. So I think that what's most important is to be non-judgmental, is to hear them out, to be a sounding board, and to say what feels right for you at this moment, because there is no right and wrong. So that's one thing I'll say about, in general, about the fertility treatments. The other thing is that women have been calling in that are pregnant and have, I mean, since the whole Torah of Gefen basically is, we have to do stress reduction to have more fertility, to have a healthier pregnancy and everything, etc. And they're saying, wait a minute, we're in wartime now, we're being bombarded. Is this going to hurt us? Is this going to hurt our fetus? What's going to go on? So basically, we've been talking to Dr. Jordy Hammond, and she said that we can really assure women nothing's going to happen to your baby. Everything's going to be fine. Obviously, stress is not great for anybody in life. Do the best you can, you know, to reduce stress, but don't keep saying to yourself like, oh my God, I'm in stressful situation. And then it becomes some kind of loop that this is going to damage my unborn baby and what's going to happen, etc. So the main thing is to, as much as possible, to calm down and to give women basically the choice. Do you want to keep going with your fertility treatments? Go on with it. If it's a great time for you, do it. If it's not, not. And with the pregnancy, calm down. You're really going to be okay. And to encourage them, what are the things that you can do during your pregnancy to make yourself feel better? Those are the main things I wanted to add right now. Is there anybody else that wants to chime in with Rhonda?
Corinne, do you have something to say or ask?
Yes, yes, I have
Hi.
something to say. What I tell a lot of women, I have a lot right now, a couple of women, they get pregnant, and I do them for them like to bring like a meditation, to bring a lot of light inside the universe. And like to imagine it a light and warm and love, and it's really helping them to relax also, because they're thinking about the baby and they're thinking about themselves. And then I say to them, think from the universe, and then think how it's expanding for all over the body, for all over the room, and even see the house, and even you can see the light and love all over the city and all over Israel. Is bring a lot of a good vibration. And also protection, and this is something they tell me a lot is really helping them.
Beautiful,
So
thank you.
I really recommend.
Great.
Also, is Michal Ronas, I don't know if you're on right now, or anybody from Nishmat, if anybody would like to add something right now. But if not, I know that the Yotzot Halacha Melavot Puriyut are really taking in a lot of calls right now. And if people are also scared about when to do tefillah, is there any psaks that say that you could do it at different times if your husband's not around, if you're in danger, etc.? I know that they're fending all of these phone calls, and I really encourage people, all of the therapists, to give over the numbers of Nishmat, so that if they have any concerns regarding this, that the Yotzot Halacha can take over with that.
Great. I'm going to turn it over to Pearl Lopian, who is our tapping expert, and she's going to actually teach us a little bit about tapping and the stress reduction techniques that she offers, or the tapping techniques that she offers that help with stress reduction. Pearl, please.
Okay. Oh, thank you very, very much. So you've covered actually a lot of what I was going to say. You've actually said, as far as, excuse me, a lot of the thoughts. And let's understand how tapping can help. So first of all, what is tapping? What is tapping? It is a very simple method that we use that can actually calm the nervous system down, because it's a bit like a mini acupuncture treatment. So we use it. I'm not talking about in therapy. This isn't about doing therapy. This isn't about how we use it to get into the deeper thoughts and the deeper subconscious and all of that. This is how it can be used as a day-to-day process to help ourselves feel balanced and calm. And it's like giving ourselves our mini acupuncture treatments, because the idea is that these points, the acupuncture points, send a calming message to the brain. Now, first of all, we've got to understand that every thought that we have, we're feeling it somewhere in our body. So it's really, really important, and so much following from what Rhonda's been saying, we want to get out of thought as much as possible, because thought is what is making us worse. So we want to get out of thought. We don't want to be tipping over the edge. So a lot of us and I love metaphors. I love using metaphors, but some of us are very much almost on the edge. Some of us are a bit further from the edge. We're all in different places, but we do not want to be tipping over the edge. everybody as a nation, we are all in PTS, which is like post-trauma stress, but we're not in PTSD. We don't want to have a disorder. We want to avoid that as much as possible. So it is important that we do something that keeps us going. And there's a few things that we want to understand is that our feelings are normal and we are not alone. I think those are the main things. Our feelings are normal. We are not alone. And also, it is okay if we feel calm. We're not letting anyone down. You know, if we're not thinking about it 24/7, that's okay. So it's giving ourselves permission. So I want to show you a couple of things that I have found very, very helpful. I do run groups, which anybody's welcome to join, because I found the power of groups multiplies energy. So if anybody wants to know about my groups that I run, which are free every day, please contact me. But I want to show you a very, very simple way. If you're a doing person like me, because I'm not a person, I mean, I do love all these ideas with the breathe. I think they're all fantastic, but I'm much more all over the place. So I find doing something is really, really good. So we're already tuned in, as I've said. We don't need to be any more tuned in. But what we want to do before we do any tapping rounds, and this is just a good daily technique anyway, just to rebalance our system. Before we do any tapping rounds, we want to notice, where are we holding all these thoughts in our body? So let's just do this together, and then we can all repeat this whenever we like. So the first thing is just to be very, very aware. Where am I holding my attention right now? Because ultimately, we always want, whatever's going on in life, whatever's out there, ultimately, we all want to feel better in our body so that we can function a bit better. So it's not about changing what's out there. We're noticing how are we responding to it inside our bodies. So if we can all just take a moment, just to see where exactly are we holding our tension. So for me, I'm feeling in my throat. I'm feeling quite a bit actually at the moment. It's interesting to notice. So you notice where you're feeling it and then rate it in your mind, 0 to 10. Okay, how strong is it? 0 is I am completely relaxed. 10 is get me out of here quick. So let's just see where we are. So get a sense of what your number is. Get a sense of where you're holding it in your body. Okay. I would assume that we're all walking around with feelings of 1s and 2s all the time. Sometimes we jump up and sometimes we jump down to other numbers. We don't want to be living at the 7s and 8s and 9s. This is not healthy for us. So this is a way to get the high numbers down. So take a note of what number you are and then just follow me. We're going to do 2 rounds. And we'll see what we notice afterwards. So I've got a couple of different techniques. The first one we call it touch and breathe. So we're not tapping on the points, we're actually touching the points. So we start off like this by crossing hands over. Now, if you like to cross fingers, it's not necessary at all. So we just go like this. And we breathe in and we blow out. And then we repeat it. We breathe in and we blow out. And then we're just going to do that on the points. So the first point is where the eyebrows start. So it's just where the eyebrows starts. I like to do it with both hands. We touch that point and we breathe in, hold it and blow out. Then very gently we move with our fingers round the side, and then we go to the side of the eye point and we breathe in and we blow out. Then we move to the under the eye, breathing in, and blowing it out. Then we go to under the nose, breathing in and blowing out. then to the chin, breathe in, and blowing out. And on the collarbone, breathing in and blowing out. And under the arm, which is about there, breathing in and blowing out. I'm going to repeat that again. Eyebrow, breathing in and blowing out. Side of the eye, breathing in and blowing out. Under the eye, breathing in and blowing out. Under the nose, breathing in and blowing out. Breathing in and blowing out. Collarbone, breathing in and breathing out. Onto the arm again, breathing in and blowing out. And back to the crossing hands, breathing in, holding it, blowing out. And one last one, breathing in, holding it, and blowing out. So now just tune into your bodies again and just see, has your number changed? Just notice, for some people it can come down quite a lot. For some people, maybe only 1 or 2 points. You'll notice you repeat as necessary. The tapping points are always the same points. We go round and around the points. So anybody wants to give me feedback, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I will just continue. Anyone want to? Sharon, I think, yeah, it goes down a bit. Okay, so this is something that you can do, especially if you're kind of doing people, if you're a person who likes to race around with their thoughts, this is quite good because it's really taking us away from thought. The other one is actually just tapping on the points. So so you can have a rant if you want to. I would suggest at this time, not. I would say at this time, not. So again, we're going to tap on the points, but we do slow tapping. So this time we're going to do about 10 to 15 times on each point. So I'm going to name the points, the side of the hand. Again, when we do this kind of tapping, we do not have eyes closed because that will tune us in more. We do not need to be already tuned in. As long as we've done an inventory of how we feel beforehand, that is good enough. So the idea is we check in with ourselves beforehand, we do the rounds, and then we check in again. Then we go to the eyebrow. So even when you're doing this kind of thing, you can let your mind have a complete wander. You can do this whenever you've got a spare moment, in the shower, wherever you like. Whenever you like, just take a few moments. Don't wait till your numbers are really, really high. And then the side of the eye, just do this whenever you've got a couple of moments, because the tapping's going in at a deep level to calm the nervous system down. You can use under the eye, you can use grounding words as you're doing this. I'm not alone. We are connected. I am loved. My feelings are normal. These kind of words we can say. These are good words to say. Our subconscious hears what we tell it. Our subconscious always hears what we tell it. So the more grounding words that we tell ourselves, the better we're going to feel. It's all about calming the system down so we can feel better, and we'll be more resourceful And then we can cope and carry on. So just going round very, very slowly and gently again. Your mind can have a wander or use grounding words. And then come back to here. And then take a breath in and blow it out. And then check in with yourself and see what you notice. I could continue, but I'm just wondering if that's enough, Rhonda, for now.
I think that's enough because we need to stop, but it was super helpful. I definitely felt the difference after doing it. I have one question. When you did under the arm, you do one underarm or you do both?
Yeah, I do one side because I don't find it comfortable to get to both sides. But if you like the idea of being a bit like doing like that, you can do. But I personally don't like the sensation, so I just go to one side.
Okay.
And I
Thank
will
you.
add then it's always okay just to do one side. So
Okay.
if you do something, you can, if you've only got one hand that you can use, just do one side for sure. Thanks for asking that.
Terrific. And would it be possible for us to maybe in the chat put your phone number so that if people want to be in touch with you about your daily practice group sessions, that would be wonderful. And I just,
And anybody else, if they
I've
need
done it
any
wrong.
other
Sorry.
Gefen like numbers or whatever, feel free to just send us an email and we'll be connecting everybody together. I think that's it, Rhonda.
yeah. So I was just going to say, Karen, if you could just put the email maybe also in the chat.
I just wanted to, could I say one thing quickly about
Sure.
any yoga teachers here? Because I
Yeah.
see Alana, Ellen, any of you don't have to be a yoga teacher, just literally 2 minutes, because I know time is very short. The main thing for movement is the hip area, the pelvis. The hips hold a lot of tension. It's really good to do poses like hip circles. Let's say you're in tabletop, just circling the hips, bringing them back and forth. Windshield wipers, if you're sitting down or lying down on the floor, you have your feet nice and wide and you windshield wipe your knees back and forth. That's great for the psoas muscle. It's a very deep hip flexor. It's the main muscle of the fight or flight. We use it to run up the tree, to fight. It's great for the vagus nerve. When we're doing the windshield wipe, turn your head in the opposite direction of your knees, and that tones the vagus nerve. Make sure if you're working with people that you don't stay in the poses a long time. You just keep moving. Set an intention, a positive word is really important. And anything having to do, again, with the hips, windshield, butterfly, tabletop hip circles, pigeon pose, frog pose, puppy stretch, opening the chest. And I'm just going to reiterate that if somebody's in anxiety, then you focus on long exhales. And if they're in more of a depression and sadness, it's focusing on longer inhales. And that's it in a nutshell. One more pose that's really, really good. So if I'm just going to show you, if you put your calves up on a chair, you're lying down. Imagine I'm lying down. My calves are up on the chair and I'm lying down on the back. So that releases the psoas muscle. So you're lying on the floor, your knees are bent, you're 90 degrees, your calves are resting on the chair, and that relaxes the psoas muscle. Again, it's overworked, it's tired, it needs that space.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay, you got it.
Great. So thank you all for joining us. I hope this was helpful. We've put numbers here, Karen FS at Gefen Mail for any Gefen related questions. You can look up Nishmat, you can look up Pearl, you can be in touch, and we're here for you. Thanks for joining. Please take care of yourselves. Oxygen masks on yourselves first. And we're in this together.
Thank you.
Karen.
Thank you all.
Could I end with the ending that I end my yoga classes with? Rhonda knows it very well. You could place your hands on your heart. Just take a moment. Mi ten v'hayom hazeh yavi b'riut etana hachlama mehira v'refuah shelema v'shefa shel or מבפנים ומבחוץ, שפע של ניסים ונפלאות, שפע של ישועות וברכות במהרה לנו ולכל העולם ולכל עם ישראל. אמן.
Amen. Thank you all. It was really relaxing in all this time. I'm here in the Darom, and it's a hard time. And really, I'm really happy. And thank you all for everything. It's really helping me to relax more and give me a lot of light to see you all. So thank you.
בשמחה. תשמרו על עצמכם.
Thank you. משתדלים.
מה בשורות טובות.
אמן. תודה.